So today I'm going to talk about Arrow Minerals. Late last year I was sort of looking at a few different projects and talking to a few mates about getting involved in another company. And someone said, look, could you just have a quick look at this? I think these guys might be onto something, but either way, they don't have much money in the bank. And just point them in the right direction. And I caught up with these guys, had a look at the project, and I just loved it. And I gave them all these, I gave them all these ideas of things that like I would do if it was mine. And they said, well, why don't you get on board and we'll sort of make it a bit yours. And here I am. Since then, we raised some cash and I joined the company in February. Today, I'm going to tell you about us. We've gone out and we've drilled about 550 holes, 8,000 metres of drilling. And we've got some great iron ore projects right along strike from the world's biggest deposit, biggest high-grade deposit at Simandou. So look, there's all of the disclosures for around risk and everything are in the back. Today I've only got 10 minutes. I'm not going to go through everything. The intention for you today is to get enough interest to just take a closer look at us online. Come to see us at the website, at the booth. I'm there with Tony Muir, our CFO. But basically the objective of our company is to start an iron ore mine in Guinea as soon as possible. And it's uniquely possible where we are, is right now, 40 kilometres from our tenement, Rio Tinto and a whole bunch of Chinese partners are building the biggest infrastructure project on the continent of Africa. Right now, they're spending $26 billion US on a 675 kilometre railway line. That's double track, end to end. They've already tunnelled and polished and they're laying track on that line right now. They built 27 kilometres of tunnel. All of the bridges are done and it's on track for commissioning next year. And if you don't believe me, just go and read anything that Rio Tinto have published. Their partner is Baowu, the biggest steel company in the world. This is a project of national significance. There are sections of that Rio Tinto ore body that are 700 metres wide, going 67%. Now, we're pumped about that because it's a multi-user railway line. You can also go online and find half a dozen state agreements which say this railway line will be made available to juniors. It'll be made available to bauxite producers. If you want to cart rice, if you want to cart people, you'll pay OPEX plus a margin, a bit of CAPEX plus a margin on a regulated rate and you're away. So we don't have to transport our ore 600 k's to a port. We just have to transport it 40 k's to a railway line. Okay? The other thing is on this tenement, we've mapped 40 kilometres strike of the Simandou formation, which hosts the ore bodies to the south. And on our ground, we've got a few sniffs, and it's inconceivable to me that there isn't an ore body on our ground that can be mined and delivered great returns to the people of Guinea and unreal returns to shareholders. And I'm really attracted to all of that. So I'll flick you through what we've done. And on top of that, we've got about 5,000 samples right now in the lab from our drilling that we're waiting for drill results for. So there's 5,000 samples in the lab. So I'm not here asking you to give me money to go and drill holes that will hopefully give you results. We raised the money, we drilled 550 holes, and the samples are in the lab now. So look, I'll just sort of flick. Basically, the people on our board, we've all built heaps of mines. Like Jeremy Sinclair and myself, we built 5 mines in 5 years in the Pilbara. Just about killed us, but we can do it. A bit of a snapshot. This is Guinea. That's where Rio and Winning are with 4.6 billion tonnes at 65 on our southern boundary. At the end of the railway line, there's 4 ports with capacity within 100 k's of the end of the railway line. Guinea is the world's largest exporter of bauxite. They do about 155 million tonnes of bulk commodity exports. There's oodles of expertise there in relation to, bulk commodity logistics, permitting, contractors, trucking, lots of the right size fleet we'd be looking for. So there's a snapshot of the range. You can see our ground here. This is the corridor that's being built with the railway line. This is where Winning and Bauer Steel are going to start mining in the near future. Rio's just off the page. Rio have already started mining. They've got 29 trucks in there we saw get delivered last time I was on site. This is a snapshot of the prospect, the tenement itself. So the railway line is just off the page here. When it comes to looking for iron ore, there's lots of reasons we look for it. Basically, it's contributed to the balance sheets of the world's biggest mining companies, the wealthiest individuals. It's basically helped build Australia and make Australia absolutely amazing as it is today. But it also sticks out of the ground. And when you're the first mover in this field, so we've got 400 square kilometres along strike from Simandou, we're next to the railway line. You go around and the first thing you do is you look for iron ore sticking out of the ground. They're your P1 targets, they're your priority things. So we've gone in and all of the targets that were identified in the first few months on the ground still are yet to be drilled. And there'll be more targets that are identified undercover. There'll be depth extents to these targets. And this is a bit of a snapshot of the targets that we've recently been drilling. And I'm going to walk through a few of these. Before I get into it, there's a few different types of ore bodies on our ground that we've identified. Some are flat, some are dipping, some are lower grade, some are higher grade. In China, every single bit of rock that's in that conceptual plan would be mined. We've done met test work on all of it, and all of that makes wonderful concentrate or wonderful lump. That's what it would look like in sort of plan. Again, I'm just talking about the stuff that we found at surface. This is the first slide of the Cowalini project. My chairman said, you know, here's one slide, there's the next slide, there's the next slide. My chairman said to me in an email, why have you got 3 sides on the Cowalini Calaco prospect? I said, we drilled too many holes there to fit on one slide, Jeff. It's 196 holes we drilled here, all of those results pending. Again, this is the Diasa project. Again, just to sort of flag what this kind of means, if you have a kilometre by a kilometre of this stuff in outcrop and it's 6.5 metres thick, that's equivalent to 1 million ounces of gold. Okay, so we don't know what the grade of this stuff is, but collectively, just at this one target, there's 6 square kilometres of mineralisation in outcrop. And we have tested 6 of these targets over the last 3 months. And this is another slide at the same place. So this is Diasa. This is right next to it. Here's another one. This is Dalabertini. This is where we got our discovery holes at 12 metres at 60%. Again, waiting for results. Look forward to reporting those. Again, this is Central Zone. No one had ever been in here with the drill rig. We climbed up onto the hill. The farmers showed us a way to get an access in with a rig. We drilled 26 holes waiting on those results. This is Komodo North. It turns out that in the equivalent of the Guinea Geological Survey, they published an iron ore deposit on our ground without telling anyone on our ground, and no one who held our ground actually knew about it. And we went up there and a farmer showed us where the holes were drilled, and we've now gone in and twinned some of those holes. And we're waiting on these results. They were only just drilled in May, June, and the samples are in the lab right now. Again, another one, Banco. This was a prospect that actually was drilled by Vale. There were 2 holes drilled into this, and they identified atabarites and mineralised Kanga, and they identified an exploration target on this prospect, but they never assayed any of the samples. Their geos were so good they could just look at the rocks with their X-ray vision and tell you what the grade was. And basically going forward from here, it's about getting the results from this current drilling program. We've got a bunch of met test work underway. We've got a lot of work being done in the field looking at more prospects. We're talking to the people who own the infrastructure about accessing the infrastructure. We're talking to people about logistics in ports. We've already started and we are well advanced in all of our permitting stuff. We've employed a mining engineer who's already got 5 development strategies mapped to execute for this project. We've identified 6 ore types. with met characteristics that we all think support a reasonable basis to drill out and move to resources, go to scoping studies and feasibility studies. We've got a railway line that's right next door to us, and iron ore is just the most amazing commodity to be in. It's no surprise that Australia's richest people made their money out of it. It shouldn't be a surprise to anyone that they made it by selling a product that was going less than 60%. You don't need high-grade product. When we started Atlas, our first cargo went 54%, and we sold that in an environment where no one would let us in a port, no one would let us on a rail, no one would let us on a road. They told us you'd never get the money and you'd never sell the product. And we built a business that was generating $1.5 billion of revenue a year in that climate. Here, the government, the local community, all the infrastructure people and the market are just screaming for us to get up and running. So I'm not saying it's going to be easy, and I'm not saying every hole is going to be a winner, but we're stoked about what we've got. So I look forward to seeing you at our booth and giving you a chance to hear about it in a bit more detail. Thank you very much.